Welcome to the More Motivation Pro-Life Leadership Series. Pro-life, anytime you pro, you think of a professional, whether it's athletics or if you hire somebody for a good or service and they have professional in front of their name, you expect them to be a professional or the best there is at what they do. And so we all should be professionals at our life. We should be the best there is at what we do, at the things we need to handle, the relationships, how we make our money, all these things. And so the Pro Life series is to help give you the tools that you need to build the kind of life that you want. And so this first session of the Pro Life series, we're going to start talking about leadership. Leadership is the process that takes you from where you are to where you need to be. So think of when I think of leadership, I think of like I used to paint years ago, and we were painting the inside of a church, and the ceiling reached to about 20 to 30 feet in some spots. And so in order to get there, we had to build a scaffolding, and the scaffolding was the tool we used to help us to reach an area that we couldn't reach without it. So think of leadership as that scaffolding. In your life, you have gifts, you have talents, you have things that are inside of you, but they don't come out automatically. They don't come out on their own. I heard a man say years ago, he said that the most valuable real estate on the face of the earth is the graveyard. And the reason that is because all the people who have died and carried those dreams with them. There are songs in the graveyard that were never composed. There were messages that were never given. There were paintings that were never expressed through artistic expression. All these things because the people died with them still in their hearts. And so leadership, just like that scaffolding was a tool to reach what we needed, leadership is your tool to get what's on the inside of here out into the world. It's the process by which you move something. Things come, they come, our dreams are in our hearts, and then they're interpreted by our souls. But leadership is what gives us the platform to put it out there where people can really benefit from it. So the Pro-Life series is actually a series to help us get these things that are inside of us out, help us to express ourselves. And once you express yourself in this way, everything is affected. Every area of your life is affected and everything is made better. A lot of times, have you ever tried to do a job and have the wrong tool? Have you ever tried to use a butter knife as a screwdriver? I mean, it may work, but it's certainly not as easy as it can be. And sometimes by the time you get done marking and scratching up whatever it is you're trying to do, you wish you had just waited on the screwdriver. So a lot of times when we don't take in consideration that we have a purpose for which we were created, and we don't do our own due diligence to seek out that purpose, find out what it is, start heading in that direction, then our lives are like that butter knife and we're trying to use our tools and our gifts and our talents and things like that to do things, and it's not a fit. It doesn't flow like it should, and it's because we're out of place. Our purpose was meant to influence the decisions that we make, and so when we don't have that, we kind of find ourselves just at a grind, and life was not meant to be that. So leadership actually, it helps you to get what's on the inside out, and it enriches things. It makes things better. But in order to hit that first, we have to go at a very foundational level. And I want to give you a concept. When you have a concept of something, it builds on like the original idea. For instance, when you want cool air, they first came up with the fan, and it blows the air. But then as people got concept into cooling, then we came up with air conditioning. Okay, so the cool air was the fan was the basic, and then as we got concept into cooling, air conditioners were created, and now air conditioning is phenomenal. I love the summer, but I'm not a big heat person. I just move from one air conditioned environment to the other. So when you have a concept of something, though, your creativity is introduced, and you're able to use it and enrich your life and make it better. In our professional life, you may be in a position to where you manage people, and that is a animal that does not exist. You cannot manage people. no person was actually ever meant to lord over another person. And so when these management systems that we see in business today that are failing, they're failing because we were not meant to manage people. We were meant to be in relationships with people, okay? And we can have influence with people, but not manage them. And so anyway, so when you have you got these management systems, and you may have people who are under you, and once you start having a concept of leadership, then leadership is where you get the most out of people, because they're developing as you go on, and as you face these challenges, and as you reach these goals. You're not just reaching the goal in and of itself, but you're actually growing as a person, and the answers are coming from the inside, and it's coming from a collaboration of people. you know and so that is the picture that leadership paints. Management paints a different picture. You got goals, and you got standards that you're trying to hit, and you just kind of pointing your finger, and go do it. Whereas leadership gives you hands-on. It builds the person. So after you've led a person, even when they go on from there, and they reach higher, and they reach new levels, and it may take them different places, but they are forever changed because of that relationship. And that's the beauty of leadership. It builds people. There's that saying said, you give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. You teach him how to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. So in order for us to hit this leadership, we have to hit it at the very foundational level. And we're going to talk about your philosophy. Now, our definition for philosophy is a set of ideas and beliefs that we live by. Just very simply that. Everybody has one. Everybody has a philosophy or a way of thinking. And your worldview is determined by your way of thinking. Okay? So think of it as, have you ever had something happen, and you got 10 people telling the story, and yet you get 10 different variations of the story? Well, it's not that 9 people are lying and only one is telling the truth, but they're giving it to you as they saw it. Okay, as what happened, as it was filtered in, through their perception, through their worldview, through their philosophy, and then when they took it in, and then when you retell it like you saw it. In most cases, people, their ideas and their values are pretty consistent. But every now and then you'll get into somebody, you're like, what? I mean, what are you talking about? What did you see? And friends, think about it. We don't see with our eyes, but we see through our eyes. Okay? It's our mind that sees or perceives what's going on. And so, a lot of times we have things in life that we want to change. We have situations that we want to make better. And we know that it's better because they cause us pain. They cause us not to be comfortable. If we're at odds with our coworkers, or at the house, and we're at odds with our family, it doesn't lead us to a good space. And it's because you're seeing things like you see it, the other person's seeing things like they see it, and sometimes, they just don't mesh. So we have to understand that people act as a result of their way of thinking or their philosophy. And you can have a good philosophy or you can have a bad philosophy. Not in terms of morality, like good or bad. I'll call it like this. You can have a light philosophy, a philosophy of light, or a philosophy of darkness. Now, darkness represents ignorance. It represents what you don't know. Life can be difficult when you don't know things. Somebody who said what you don't know can't hurt you. I wouldn't be surprised if we did some research and found out that person died from what they didn't know. What you don't know can not only hurt you, but it can make life very, very difficult, for you to live. It makes life a grind. It makes you work till your fingers to the bone. But over here in the light, the philosophy of light, it looks for ways to be better. It looks for answers to questions. It does not look for more problems, and you got problem upon problem. But this philosophy of light looks for solutions. And so, one example I like to use where leadership is concerned is, say you've got several children, and if you do have several children, you know how different they are from one to the other. What works and what's effective for one will not work and be effective for the other. And furthermore, the discipline style and the parental style that you were under may not work well at all for your children. And so when you try to manage them, you try to use the same for everybody. And that's where this breaks in relationships come, because they don't get it. They don't see it that way. You can't reach them by that method. Now, what leadership does is it enables you, it gives you the wisdom to take a step back. It gives you the wisdom to relax and figure out what's going to be effective for the individual. Okay, we're all different people. We're made up of different thoughts and emotions and experiences, and so one thing does not work for everybody. Leadership gives you the love. It gives you the space to really to care enough about this individual to figure out what's going to work well for them. What is it that they need to be effective? Once you convince somebody that you're there to support them, that you're there in the capacity because you want to help them succeed, then that's the foundation of a relationship, because that builds trust. And once somebody trusts you, they'll give you their all. So your philosophy is a set of ideas and beliefs that you live by. Whether or not you call it that philosophy or whether or not you've thought about it like that, that's irrelevant. Everybody has one. Everybody has a way of thinking. All behavior is precipitated by a belief. If you want to change the behavior, then you have to change the belief. Okay? I think a lot of time and money professionally, companies waste millions of dollars a year because they're trying to get a behavior without getting to the way of thinking first. In your personal life, you emotionally expend yourself to the point where you just got nothing left. Why? Well, because you're challenging yourself and you're judging yourself based on these behaviors. The fact that you can't change it, the fact that you want to, and it goes against everything that you intellectually know, yet you still find yourself doing the same thing. Well, it's because you don't change the behavior until you change the way of thinking. Your way of thinking or your philosophy precipitates every behavior. So we're inside out people. When you try to change without changing the thought process, then what you do is that's called behavior modification. Have you ever been to the zoo and you saw a bear riding a unicycle or a tiger jumping through a flaming hoop? If you're camping, I guarantee you're not going to see a bear riding by the campsite on a unicycle. I guarantee you, if you're out, in India somewhere, you're not going to see a tiger trying to find a match to light a hoop so it can jump through it. Now, those are behavior modifications. That's not really what the animal is designed or wired to do. And that's also why, you always hear these stories after a while, some animal then smacked fire out of somebody. This is not their natural habitat. This is not what they want to do. And sometimes they revert back to, who and what they really are. So we have to understand that we are not designed to change from the outside in or to have our behavior modified, because there's the strongest urge in the human personality is to act in a way that's consistent with how you believe. Okay? Now that's powerful right there. The strongest urge in the human personality is to act in a way that's consistent with how you believe. Now, a lot of times we have it down where we could fake a smile. We can put on a facade, we can put on a face, and we can fake out the people around us because we don't want the people in our business or whatever the case. And sometimes that's good for a while because all our answers we can't get in one shot. Sometimes it takes time for us to get the answer on it and for us to realize that this is the way we need to go, and we make the adjustments and then we're all right. So in the short term, that's okay, and that's very powerful and it's good. But we were never meant to live our entire lives like that. We were never meant to have a means of conflict resolution, this face that we put on, and we're not true to our authentic self. So what makes us fall into that trap is when we don't realize, we don't make the connection between what we think inside and what we do on the outside. There's that old Jewish proverb that says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." So, if you want to change the behavior, then you have to first change what you believe. If you want to change how you feel about life, then you have to change first how you're seeing life. Okay? Remember, I think it was Mahatma Gandhi that said, "We don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are." So our path of least resistance, our automatic pilot setting, will have us seeing things and interpreting things in life as a result of what we've been through and not as a result of what's really actually there. Sometimes we judge our lives based on mistakes that we made in the past and things like that. And so we don't feel like we can go very far. We don't feel like things are going to work out for us. We've reached this certain level, and that's about as good as life is going to get for us. And it's a pretty bleak way of thinking, but it is a way that we picked up along the way. Somewhere over the years, we picked this up and we carried it on with us in our adult life. Well, now I'm challenging you with new information. I'm letting you know that does not have to be true for you. Your life is not a destiny that's set in stone as much as it is a self-fulfilled prophecy. Now, if that's true for you, it's true because you believed it. It's not true because it's some mode that you were set in since the day you were born and there's nothing you can do about it. No, it's true because you believe it. So your belief system and your way of thinking is what initiates change. You cannot have a behavior change without first changing the way that you think. And so much money over the years is lost because we don't understand that there's a right philosophy and there's a wrong philosophy. There is a philosophy or a way of thinking that takes you and puts you on the road to your destiny and where you, the person you're evolving to be. And then there is a philosophy that is a wrong philosophy that entices you to stay the same. It doesn't prepare you to be better. It does not challenge you. It keeps you it keeps you in the same relationships. It keeps you just at that same level. And so the answer, and before we get into the fundamentals and the foundation of leadership and how to be more proficient, how to be more productive in every area of our life, we have to deal with the fact that we have a philosophy. Wherever we are in life today, we have a philosophy that brought us there. Wherever we are, we're good or bad, there's some areas that's good, there's some areas that's bad, some areas need improvement, others need maintenance. Whatever the case may be, there's a way of thinking that got you there. Your way of thinking precipitates the choices that you make. And the choices that you make create your lifestyle. So if you want to change your lifestyle, you have to change your choices. If you want to change your choices, then you have to change the way that you think. Okay, so wrong, right, and wrong, not in the sense of morality, but in the sense of where is it that you want to go in life? What is it that you were put on this earth to do? What is your destiny? And do you want to get on that road? Okay, so your philosophy, that is the basis of your worldview. That is how you see the world. This perspective thing that we're talking about. Think of it as a lens. Think of it, the world. You've got the outside world and you got everything that's happening. You've got a lens, and then you've got your mind. You've got the way you see things. Information comes in, situations happen, and they pass through that lens. And the lens kind of shapes them and contorts them to whatever it is that you believe, your belief system. When you're not in control, you have to be in control of that. You have to have a philosophy that's open. It has to be open-minded because you have to consider new information, and the information that applies to you, the things that you connect with, things that you deem as true, you take in and you allow it to reconfigure the way that you think, and now you've learned and you've grown. And then things that don't connect with you, things that you don't vibe with, that aren't true, you just kind of cast aside. But you have to be careful not to have a closed mind. Okay, you can have a made up mind, but it's got to be an open mind because there's new information coming constantly. You're not the same person today that you were last year. You're not the same person you were last week even. And so, you know, sometimes we judge ourselves like we are. We judge ourselves as if we're that same person, but we're not. And we're now better equipped to deal with life and handle life because of the things that we learned from the things that we've been through. But that all starts with a philosophy that gives you I call it the evergreen, the state of evergreen. You know, they call those trees evergreens because they stay green year round. They never brown. They never, unless they're dead, but they never change like other vegetation. And so you have to be in a mindset of ever growth. Okay? When you look at situations that you've been through in the past, instead of allowing that to place a judgment on your worth and value today, you learn from it. You allow it to teach you something, and you're always in a position to grow from it and learn from it. Okay, that's how you win in everything. So the one point I want you to understand is that everybody has a philosophy. Okay, everybody has a way of thinking. Everybody has a way that they process information, a way that they deal with life, and the way that they see things. Now, one of the other reasons why this is so important is because it's the way that you see things that causes your reaction. We have an epidemic of anxiety in our society today, a mismanagement of stress. Now, there are two forms of stress. There's a stress that's kind of like resistance, just like when you go to the gym and you're challenging yourself and you're lifting weights and you stay where you are, and it's resistance, and it will actually build muscle. You get on that treadmill, it'll expand your lungs capacity to take in air, and it all leads to better health, better physical fitness. But then there's also, you can go into the gym and you can put yourself up under too much weight, and you get that weight up off the thing and it comes down on you. That can be very detrimental to your physical fitness. Okay, so when we have a philosophy that is not robust enough to deal with whatever our situations are, whatever is coming at us in our world, the challenges that we have, then that stress becomes like the weight that's too much for us, and it begins to take a toll on our lives. Your philosophy and the way that you were set up, you wasn't designed to be powerless. It wasn't designed to be in a state of not enough or not producing or not being the very best. It was designed everything was designed to work together. And, you were designed to be the answer to any problem. You are the answer, you're not part of the problem. And so, but sometimes our philosophy, when we don't give it attention, when we're not aware of what's going on internally, then we'll take that path of least resistance, and then that makes us at the mercy of the things that we've been through. We attract the wrong kind of people, and the wrong kind of person is the person that is not pushing you to meet goals. Think of it like this. When we start talking about relationships, don't judge the quality of a relationship that you have solely by how it makes you emotionally feel. Yes, emotional it's a part. There's an emotional part of you, and there's definitely a part of you need to feel good about it. But that is not the only way that we can judge that, because emotions can be very superficial. Judge the quality of your relationships by how they challenge you, how they push you towards your life goals, how they inspire you to learn more and grow more and to be more, and add the emotional part on that. Don't judge it by emotional only. Judge it by how they challenge you to be the best you can be, or how they entice you to stay the same. Relationships that are enticing you to stay the same and to be in the same spot, then those aren't good relationships. Those aren't strong and powerful relationships. Those are more where you're familiar with somebody, and this is not something that you chose. That's when you're acting on that automatic pilot, that path of least resistance. You're just allowing just things to happen. You don't want to allow life to happen. You want to live life on purpose. You want to be in it to win it. You want to understand that there is a destiny, there's a grand design for your life, and you want to get in that place. So you have to understand that everybody has one. Everybody has a philosophy. Everybody has a way of thinking, and that way of thinking is what's taking you towards your goals or keeping you from them. Now, if your philosophy causes you pain, okay, now pain is not just physical pain, but if it's causing you difficulty, if it's not creating the relationships that you want in your life, if you're not making the money that you want to make, if you're not feeling at peace with your world and what's going on, then that means that the philosophy that you have, the way of thinking that you have, is the wrong way of thinking. Okay, remember, right and wrong, not in the sense of morality, morally right or wrong, but right or wrong in the sense of wrong is what takes you away from your destiny, right is what takes you towards it. Wrong is what has you in life tolerated, right is what has you celebrated. Okay? The right philosophy will line up with your gifts and talents, and it'll make things flow easy. I call it sweatless victory. The wrong philosophy will make things hard and grievous, and you're working by the sweat of your brow, and as hard as you work, you just can't never seem to get ahead. So remember, right and wrong in the sense of not morality or anything like that, but in the sense of how is it working for you. Okay? So you want to be moving constantly towards your best. Remember, everybody has a philosophy that they're employing. Wherever you are in your life, up to this point, you have a philosophy that brought you there. And so the good news in that is that if you got a philosophy that brought you there, then it's a philosophy that can take you where you want to go. It's in your hands. It takes the authority out of everybody else's hands. So I want you to remember, everybody has a philosophy. I want you to be aware of whatever it is that you're employing. If it's causing you emotional pain or stress, then that's your sign that that's the wrong way. You want a philosophy that's taking you and challenging you, is bringing new experiences and people into your life, lining up with where you want to go, your gifts and your talents and your abilities. I appreciate you for tuning in to this pro-life series in our first session of philosophy. Tune in again as we continue to talk about leadership. We continue to talk about you evolving into the person that you was meant to be, and you're not just allowing life to push you where it wants you to go.